unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
And please welcome Christopher Rausch. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, rock stars of the Kick-Ass Nation? It is I, Christopher Rausch, and I'm back here with another episode of the Raw and Unscripted podcast. We're on episode number 351. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, whether you're joining us here on the video cast or on the audio podcast. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. The podcast is in like 100 countries right now, and I am so appreciative to each and every one of you listening or watching every single week, taking in this information and growing yourself and becoming that person that you deserve to be. Because you know what happens when you do that? People around you, and you might be seeing this, and it may take time, but people start to see, hey, what is Chris doing? Hey, what is Jeanette doing? Hey, what is Raul doing? Hey, what is whoever doing? People start to see that you're implementing strategies. People start to see that you're growing and changing. And guess what they're going to probably want to do? They're going to probably want to drag you back down, because people don't want to see you grow. People don't want to see you grow. And so what we talked about on the show here in the past is the importance of sometimes letting people go. But you know what that all adds up to? It all adds up to stress. And I know tons of people, if you guys don't know, if you're new to the show, I'm a life coach, motivational speaker, author, and also obviously a podcaster. And the stress can really get to you. The stress can get to you. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. We're going to talk about new ways, creative ways, easy ways, challenging ways to reduce your stress, because so many people in my life, you know, in my coaching clients, in my group coaching, in my life in general, my friends, my family, people I see in social media and all the different platforms, people are stressed out. And I hear a lot that people are feeling overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. They're analysis paralysis. They feel like anything they do doesn't work. There's all these different things that are going on. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. So I encourage you listening, watching, take notes. If you're watching, feel free to contribute in the chat. That's why we do it live, is you can contribute in the chat. We can have a conversation back and forth. I can put your comments on the screen. It's just a really cool way to connect every single week. And I personally don't really listen to podcasts anymore because I'm not traveling. I'm not driving and stuff like that. So I watch podcasts, and I dig watching the conversation between people. I dig watching the person doing it. I feel like I absorb more. So you guys are always welcome to join us Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, California time, or 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 3 o'clock in the morning in the UK, whatever it might be. Join us. Let me see your beautiful face. Chime in. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you want to hear or see on the show. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up here in 2026. We're going to be doing things differently. We're going to be adding different nuances with our guests. We're going to be talking about subjects that I'm not really familiar with, but what we're going to do is we're going to learn together. And I'm going to bring you the information, and maybe you don't know about it, but there's a ton of stuff that's going on in the world. And I feel that we owe ourselves, and we owe the people in our lives, to be more aware of some of the things that are going on and challenges that people might be having that we're unaware of. And it just helps us become better and stronger people. And it also really develops our deeper sense of gratitude, right? When we're talking about stress tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about how stress is good, really good, right? You know, people talk about, I don't want to be afraid anymore, but you know, there's certain types of fear that are really good, because here's the deal, guys. I'm going to cut it to the nutshell. When you have fear and you have stress in your life, the more that you have, chances are you might be the type of individual like I am, raising my hand, not always, I've gotten a lot better, where the fear, the pressure, the overwhelm finally gets to a point where you finally do something. You finally snap, you end the relationship, you quit the job, you start the new job, you do whatever it is that you need to do, but you've had enough. So the first question I'm going to give tonight for you to ask yourself is, when will you have had enough? Think about that. When will you, the person listening or watching this, have had enough of the friendship, the friends that never call you, the relationship that you have problems with that you're not speaking up about, the job where you allow the coworkers to run all over you, the friends and the people that take advantage of you, that you don't put yourself first, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When are you going to have enough? And if you can't answer that question, I don't know, Chris. And I get people saying that. I'm like, there will come a point where you're going to be at a crossroads and you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. And then you're going to do something. And chances are on the other side of all of that, which is not going to be great, it's going to be challenging, but that's when we grow the most. On the other side of it, you're going to look back and say, man, I wish I would have done it sooner. Wish I got the divorce sooner. Wish I'd have changed the job sooner. Wish I would have looked for another job sooner. Wish I would have started my side hustle 5 years ago. I wish I would have spoke up and found out that the thing I was making assumptions about, the person I was making assumptions about, the problems I was making assumptions about, whatever it is, weren't true. Right? A lot of you guys are walking around with assumptions and judgments, and you're hearing things out of context and you're making opinions, and it's not true. But then you sit there in quiet misery, right? Anybody raise their hand sitting there in quiet misery, hoping, wishing, and praying that somebody gets it? Oh, they should know. I shouldn't have to explain it to them. They should already know. No, they don't. I'm a very smart person. I'm a very observant person and critically observant. But I've told my wife so many times, if you want me to know something, you need to say it. You need to say, Chris, I need you to focus on this, because I will see everything in the room that nobody else sees. But the things right in front of me, I tend not to see because I'm so hyper-focused on survival. And that's my DNA. That's who I am based on my experiences in my life. And I've done a great job of reducing that, but it's also my strength in being able to do that. So I don't want to necessarily not pay attention to the things that most people miss. I want people to have communication and say, hey, Chris, this is where you're screwing up. Hey, Chris, this is where, I could see you growing. And that's where we have to speak up. And is it uncomfortable? Yes. So before we get into all that, I want to talk about last week's show. Last week's show, we talked about my learning opportunities, the lessons and the strategies I was reminded of and I learned in 2025. So it's a show packed full of different methodologies and ideas and questions you can ask yourself when you're feeling, again, in the state of not being where you want to be. And somebody asked me to describe the podcast, and I said, I get you to look at your past, your present, and your future with a different set of lenses, right? And so often we're looking in the past, and we're pissed off about the past. We're regretful of the past. We blame people in our past. But if you're doing that, if you're constantly living in that place that no longer exists except for electrical energy in your brain, if you're living there, then what's happening here in the present? Right? So a lot of people are worrying and blaming and, the past, blah, blah, I wish it was like this and make America great again. All those different, again, we don't need again. We need now, right? Your version of great now. And that, or we're in the past or we're in the future. We're worried about the future. We don't know what's going to happen. We're paralyzed by fear, doubt, uncertainty, right? And so we're either in the past or we're in the present, but are we living here currently in right now? We're in the future. And I've seen so many people who have been locked into either one of those areas or both areas and then have a sudden diagnosis or something happen currently in their life. Somebody passes away, they get a divorce, something massively changes, and then they're dealing in the moment, right? So what would it be like for you if you stopped blaming everybody in your past and you stopped worrying about the future and you sat there and said, okay, listen, the situation I'm in right now is consisting of these situations that are causing me stress, causing me overwhelm. What can I do about that? So I encourage you, go back and listen to episode number 350. You guys can find them all on rawandunscripted.com. It's RAWAND, the word unscripted, UNSCRIPTED, rawandunscripted.com. We're on every podcast platform. We're on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, for you guys watching, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We're put on Instagram. But here's something I'm personally going to do for a while, and I'm going to see how it works. So for my partners, my brothers and sisters watching us on Facebook right now, and thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you. Nellie and Jacqueline and Robert and all the other beautiful people that show up here every single week. Thank you. But I'm going to ask you a favor. And you know me, I don't ask very often, but I'm going to ask a favor. In order to help my podcast grow, help the show grow, and help more people see it, I'm going to ask you a favor. Instead of watching it on Facebook, or watching on Instagram or LinkedIn or any of the places that I publish to, I'm going to try an experiment. I'm just going to only publish to YouTube. So if you could do me a huge favor. I know you guys show up every single week. I don't know if it's on your calendar, but if you would put it in your calendar, you guys that show up every single week and those of you who want to show up, just put in your calendar, hey, Raw Unscripted show is going on at 7 o'clock or 10 p.m., whatever it might be for you, or 6 p.m. I don't know, whatever your time zone is. Put that on your calendar, then show up and then put the link to the YouTube. So I'm going to put it in here in the comments. I'm going to put it in the body of the actual show promo. And of course, you guys can always go to youtube.com/Christopher Rausch. ChristopherRausch. Or you could go to Google and just put in hashtag no excuses coach. You'll find my YouTube. You'll find a bunch of stuff. Whatever's easiest for you. I would love and appreciate you go to YouTube. And when you subscribe to the page, or if you're already subscribed, go hit the bell. There's a little bell right there and it says notifications, and you hit all. When I go live, it's going to send you a message to the top of your phone as long as you have your messages on. And it's going to say, hey, Christopher Rausch is going live on YouTube. And I do that for the special podcasts and the special videos and content creators in my life on YouTube. So that way I see it and I'm like, oh, and if I can't make it right then I'm like, oh yeah, let me make a note to go back and check out that car episode, or make sure I go back and check out the Chris Williamson show or the Diary of a CEO show, which are basically the two podcasts that I watch the most now. Some of the other people that I was following, if you've been following me for a long time, some of those other people, Ed Milet and Tom Bilyeu and some of the other people, I don't follow anymore because I've changed and I've grown, and I just don't resonate with their messages because I don't. Well, number one, Ed Milet, love the guy. Always thought it would be my dream to be able to be invited on his podcast, and love and respect and would appreciate that. But you know, you gotta connect with who you connect, right? So I highly recommend Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom, and then also Stephen Bartlett on Diary of a CEO. Both of them are like number 1 and number 2 podcast in the world. So you have no problem finding them. Great guys, tons of great information, impartial in their objectivity, subjectivity of whatever conversations they're having. Right now, I'm currently watching the episode of the Chris Williamson show. No, Diary of a CEO show. Stephen Bartlett with James Clear, The Atomic Habits, which is phenomenal. If you guys have not seen or read that book, phenomenal. So if you would do me that, youtube.com/Christopher Rausch, and go there, hit that alert bell for the next short while. Moving forward, I'm going to be doing this test. And for those of you guys who watch the show, I'll do my best to send you private messages as a reminder with the link. But thank you guys so much for supporting this. I mean, I come here every single week and give you my heart and soul, and would appreciate you guys doing that. And then share out the YouTube, because again, I'm not getting anything financially out of it. I'm getting the opportunity that when more people see the show visually, that's going to help my other videos, my short form videos. I do 60-second videos all the time, every single week, usually every single day of the week, the regular week, 4:30 a.m. They come out. 60 seconds. I do walk and talk videos. There's tons and tons of content on my YouTube channel, not just the podcast. So short stuff, long stuff, old stuff, me in suit and tie, all sorts of different playlists. You guys can go check it out. Would love and appreciate your support. And when you do, shoot me a message wherever it might be, info@noexcusescoach.com. Send me an info or message on any of the social media platforms. I'm either at Christopher Rausch or No Excuses Coach. It's pretty simple to find me. Send me a message, say, hey, Chris, I just fucking hit the bell. Thank you so much for doing the podcast. And then just share with me what's one topic or one subject or one question I can answer for you, so I can give back to you personally, and we can have this reciprocity relationship no matter where you're at in the world. If you're in Brazil, China, wherever you're at listening to this, please, 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 I would love so much to get a message from you and know where you're at, because I think it's so fucking cool. When I looked a couple of weeks ago, I don't stare at the statistics. I'm not that kind of a person. But I saw that we were in 98 countries. I was like, we were in 35 countries for the longest time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And then also just a couple of things. My book will be out this year. It's justyouandmekid.com, where you can find it on my website. It's justyouandmekid.com, ChristopherRausch.com, whatever you want to be. The book, my memoir about my life. Crazy as it may seem, 6 years in the making of this book. I did not think it was going to take that long. Will be out this year. So if you want to get all those updates, you go to itsjustyouandmekid.com. You can just put in your name and your email, and you'll get not tons. I haven't sent out a newsletter in probably a year and a half, so you're fine as far as me filling up your inbox. But you will be on the list to help me make it a bestseller. You'll be on the list to hear stories and things that we're not able to make in the book. I'm also going to be doing a Q&A, answering questions about the book, answering things anywhere inside the book after you read it. Because I know that when I read books, there's like, oh, I wish I would have found out whatever happened to this. And there's so many questions that I have when I'm reading a book, that to be able to talk to the author and ask them questions and find out how the story ends, or what did you do in that situation, or what would you have done differently, is really, really cool. So I'm doing that. There's all sorts of cool other things that I'm going to do in order to promote the book and get it in your hands. So again, the mission is to help people change their perspective about their past, present, and their future. And for me, having gone through what I did as a homeless 7th grade dropout, and all the different experiences that I had throughout my life will surely inspire you. Surely inspire you to be grateful for whatever childhood and experiences that you had, or to look at your experiences and say, you know what, I'm going to be a badass motherfucker like Christopher Rausch. So that's my inspiration to lift the world up and to be a better place. And no matter where you're at in the world, I just want to say this final message before we get into the content tonight about stress is I love you. Everything aside, right? I'm here in the United States and quite frankly, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. I got friends that are losing their mind on different sides of the political spectrum, all sorts of different things. I mean, the stress that I'm going to be talking about in the show tonight and I hope it helps them. But, you know, together that we're more the same than we are different. And if you split us down the middle, whether you're black, white, straight, gay, Republican, Democrat, you follow the Quran, you follow the Bible, whatever you follow, however you do it, whoever you love, we're all more the same than we are different. And when you split us down the middle, we are the same. Right? And I will tell you this, no matter where you're at, I know you're a beautiful soul. I know you're a beautiful soul. Within the sound of my voice, please know that you're a beautiful soul. And that together, my mission, I swear on my mother's life, my son's life, my life, whatever you want to put it, my mission is to bring love to this world, to bring community to this world, to bring togetherness to this world, to bring opportunity to this world, to help people with the inflated egos and the greed and the desire to control everything, to help them heal and help them share their gifts so that ultimately we have a collaborative giving world. And that's my mission. So if you choose to be on it with me, I need your help promoting the YouTube page, being here every single week and sharing this episode out. So let's get into this. All right. So let me ask you something right out of the gate, real stuff. How much of your stress is actually coming from life? And how much is coming from the stories you are telling yourself about it? Because here's the truth. Some of us just don't live in chaos. We've built a summer home there. We wear stress like a badge of honor. We call it ambition. We call it responsibility. We call it just how I am. This is just how I am. Do you say that? It's not just how you are because you can change it. But underneath all that, it's exhaustion. It's disconnection. It's a nervous system that hasn't felt safe in years. So what do? When we don't feel safe, when we feel nervous, when we feel anxiety, we go to our short-term gratifications because we want to drown ourselves out of it. We want to go to the drink. We want to go to the drugs. We want to go to the porn. We want to go to the sex. We want to go to the gambling. We want to go to the shopping. We want to go to the Netflix. We want to go to the food. We want to go all these different things to escape the stress of our life. But I'm here to tell you, when you stand up and you say, you know what, fuck that. That's the easy way. What's the path? What's the path that's going to net me the opportunity to really change my experiences of how I'm interacting with life, right? So tonight we're doing something different. We're not doing any generic, take a deep breath and think positive advice. We're going to talk about why we create our own mess. We're going to talk about how stress shows up in relationships, work, and daily life. And most importantly, creative, real world ways that you can reset your system. Not someday, not when life calms down, right fucking now. So grab a drink, unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders. Let's get raw, real, and unscripted right now. Boom. So first segment, we're going to talk about the chaos loop, why we tolerate and sometimes thrive in our own self-created mess. Now, this episode, as all episodes, requires something massive, yet something 1,000% doable. It requires you to be honest with yourself. Can you do that for me? Can you set aside the lies and the assumptions and the blame and everything that takes you out of your position of control and authority over your own life, over your own thoughts? Can we do that? Can we suspend that? Can we sit there and think about, for the next 30 minutes or whatever it might be, I'm going to write down some strategies. And you know what? I'm going to commit. I'm making a promise to myself that I'm going to apply these strategies. Whether I think they're going to work or not, I'm going to give them a shot. Why the fuck not? Let me give it an opportunity. If I can reduce my stress 10%, 20%, 5%, 3%, a reduction in stress is an increase in happiness and peace and being able to be present in those moments with your kids, with your loved ones, right? Are you really giving your family and the people you love the most the best of your life? If you're stressed out all the time and you're overwhelmed and even if you're not telling them, it's coming out in your actions. It's coming out in your behaviors. And I know this for a fact, for myself and for so many people, because I've seen them reduce their stress and I've seen them come back to me or in my own life and realize, you know what? I wasn't being mean, but I wasn't being a fun, loving version of myself. I was not being a very intentional, inspirational, fun, curious, adventurous person. I was constantly in my head. What do I got to do next? What do I got to do next? What do I got to do next? How do I keep all the plates spinning? How do I not lose all this? How do I keep it going? Right? I sell these bracelets. One of the words says believe. The other one says no excuses. And the other bracelet I sell says unstoppable and says no excuses. As you can see, I'm wearing them. Watch the podcast. As you can see, I'm watching them. And sometimes I have to look down. I'm like, am I believing right now? Because I will tell you, I'm fucking human. And I have moments all the time where I'm like, I'll see a news headline, or I'll think about, what's happening and how much different the world's going to be in 10 years. And I get stressed and I get overwhelmed and I get disheartened and I get uncertain and I want to control it. I want to change it. I want everybody to experience the life that I've had, the opportunity before the internet. And I think so sadly for the kids that have grown up during COVID and the stress with their parents, and their parents aren't handling it well. I think about these kids and what they're really experiencing. And some people, oh, they're just kids. They won't know any different, blah, blah. I tell them what to do and blah, blah, blah. But they're seeing how you're reacting in traffic and they're saying, hey, that's okay. They're seeing how you're reacting to your spouse and getting mad and arguing all the time. And they're thinking that's okay. They're seeing you stay in a relationship if you have a daughter, right? I know a lot of women listen to this. Actually, it's like 50-50 women and men who listen to the show. You have a daughter, and then you're accepting the behavior from your husband or your boyfriend or whatever it might be. You're telling her, hey, we accept it. This is okay. Or you're a guy and you're treating your lady like shit because you're stressed out and you're like, oh man, I haven't really shown her anything to make her feel special. I want my kid to grow up and make his woman feel special, his partner feel special. I haven't been doing that. We have to set the example, but we have to have that internal desire to clear away the shit that's happening in our life, the mess that we create. And stress isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's a strategy, and even a terrible one at that. Because what happens is it becomes our identity and we say, oh, I'm just a grinder. I'm the reliable one. I'm the one who handles emergencies. Chaos becomes your proof of worth. And I can say that I was that person. Give me any challenge you got. Give me any emergency you got. I can fucking handle it. I'd be the first one at work and I'd be the last one to leave. I'd be the one going in on our Saturdays, right? Stressing myself out, working my ass off to try to get the validation and the approval of others when it was just my own insecurity. It was my own insecurity. And what did I do? I actually burned myself out. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. I burned myself out. So here's another thing to think about. Avoidance dressed as productivity. Think about this. Busy feels responsible. Stillness feels scary because you'd have to feel and choose. Again, think about that. How much time are you spending in your short-term gratifications, right? What are you really ignoring? I'm going to give you some questions later. And I know one of the questions is going to pop you right between the eyes when you think about that, because you have to feel and choose. And I've been there in my life. I didn't have a drinking problem, but I used alcohol quite excessively to ignore my life and to keep me going. That was my Band-Aid. Oh, it keeps me going. It keeps me going through the pain. It's the way I calm down. I don't take ADHD medicine. I had all these excuses and all these stories that I would tell myself. And then I decided one day, I'm like, you know what? I also realize what I'm doing is I'm masking and I'm ignoring and I'm avoiding. So what would it be like if I didn't drink for 6 months? What would it be like if I didn't drink for 3 months? And I started off in those increments. I'm like, wow. I started feeling better. I started making better decisions. I started acting better. I started becoming more successful. All the areas of my life, my fitness, my sleep, everything started to improve. My skin tone, I looked younger. I didn't look all puffy and, like you do after you're hungover. I wasn't wasting 2 or 3 days after I drank and didn't even get drunk, feeling like shit. So when you sit there and the cool thing about it is when you face the things that you kind of been running from, again, I promise you're going to get to the other side and go, I wish I'd have done that sooner. And if you don't, quite honestly, who fucking cares if you get to the other side and go, oh my God, that was a pain. You did it. You did it. Hey, I fucking faced the thing and I did it. It wasn't the thing. So maybe the next thing is that what I got to do is going to do. What else does it do? It gives intermittent reinforcement. Some days the chaos works. Right? You get praise, you get results, you get adrenaline like I did. So the brain keeps chasing it. That's the thing. It's like, oh yeah. But really, what are you doing it for? And it's okay to do it in the short term. It's okay to do it for a project. It's okay to do it a little bit. But I will tell you this. I know that because I work so hard, I pushed other people away. because they thought I was trying to take their work, take the praise, there was all sorts of negative outcomes from doing that. So I had to get aware. I had to have honest conversations with people. And that's where they would start to share with me. And that's where I had to go to therapy. And ultimately, all of my stress wound up burning me out to the point my adrenals failed. Your adrenaline, right? So my your adrenal glands produce chemicals, just to put it in the simplest form. And all of a sudden, those adrenals, nothing left. Burned out, was taking care of my mom, was driving 100 and something miles every day, all sorts of different things. Stress. I got it. Wore it like a badge of honor. I fucking handle this. God, Chris, how do you do it? How do you do it? I just do it. Until I didn't. And I'm sure you may know somebody out there who's had a heart attack, who's had a stroke, who may not be with us anymore because my wife's dad was one of them. Heart burst. Just died. Stress, always stressed, mad, 57 years old. I'm going to be 57 next month. My biological father died at 57 from cancer, right? You look at stress. What does stress do? Stress causes us to not take care of ourselves and get all and then we're eating, and then all of a sudden we get cancer. And we're like, oh, fuck. I wish, right? That's one of the things that keeps me going. Like, I'm not having sugar this year. So I got to sit there and look at what I'm doing. And here's the last point on this one. It says connection collapse makes it worse. When people feel lonely and disconnected, stress hits harder and recovery gets weaker. Think about that. So here are some questions that I want you to consider in this aspect, in this first part that we're talking about. Write this down. Where in my life does chaos secretly make me feel important, needed, or safe? Right? Where in my life does chaos secretly make me feel important, needed, or safe? When I answer that question, yeah. Here's question number 2. If my life got calm, what emotion would I have to finally face? If my life got calm, what emotion would I have to finally face? A lot of it has to go back to your childhood, ladies and gentlemen, right? You think about who we become. And psychological studies show between the ages of 5 and 7, right around in there, that's who you become. And then you go through your rest of your life thinking those beliefs about yourself. I heard my son say the other day, he said it twice now that I've heard. One time he said, I'm such a bad kid, because we had to get on him about his room and I'm such a bad kid. And another time he had said something similar to that. And I just knocked it off. And then I thought, does he really think that? Is that, oh, see, I'm a bad kid. See, I'm a bad kid. See, I told you I was a bad kid. Everybody focuses on the negative instead of the positive. I tell him like, oh, you do this and you do this and you do this. But his first action, like how we're wired, is to go to what we do wrong. And then what do? We try to validate. We try to do all sorts of things right. And half the time we screw that up because we're trying so hard and we're just not being authentically who we are. So thinking about that. Question number 3, what's the payoff I get from staying stressed? Think about it. Attention, control, avoidance, validation. My mother was always stressed, but she was always really angry. And I found out later in life, I thought about this and I did some research on it. Her being angry put her in her perspective, her perception, in a seat of control. I'm the one calling the shots. I've got the louder voice. I'm waving my hands bigger. So she'd be like, mad. And so she would get her way. And if she didn't get her way, she got madder and louder until she broke the person. So what's the payoff? She got what she wanted. And she used to say to me frequently, I want what I want when I want it. Can tell you that. Last question in this section. What boundary would I need to set? This is so important. What boundary would I need to set if I stopped rescuing everyone? And I've helped a ton of people with the people pleaser aspect of their life. And guess what? When they stopped being people pleasers, when they started doing it for the right people, for the right reasons, with the right intensity and the right heart, their life opened up. And what I mean by opened up is there was more opportunity for calm and peace and reflection. And what that ultimately allows us to do is to be in that moment to say, okay, instead of being in a highly emotional reactionary state, because I'm allowing my adrenaline and all my chemicals and everything in this moment to go, and I just want it to end, I'm just going to snap and do this. But because you work on yourself and because you're able to pause, and this is what I teach my coaching clients, especially we're talking about my group coaching program. If you're interested, hit me up. I would love for you to be in there. It's an amazing program. And it's super cheap. We were just talking about that, right? So it is all about perspective. The second part, the second section I want to really highlight for you guys and thinking about it is stress hotspots, which are relationships, obviously your work and your career, and what I call the rest of life, right? So the thing I'm thinking here is that stress multiplies when we have low control, plus unclear expectations, plus weak boundaries, plus poor recovery. So again, when you're not at your best, let me ask you this. Are you doing the best that you can? Answer. Yes, no. Okay. If you're not doing the best you can, what is your best? And how do we often find out what our best is? It's usually in those times of pressure and uncertainty and anger and fear, because we've been pushed to finally take action. And what do? We generally figure it the fuck out, right? Oh, I need to come up with X amount of money. Then we get creative. Then we sell shit that we really know we don't need, right? How many TVs do you need in your house? How many things, what can you do? How can you be creative? How can you be resourceful? Which is really another major area that this show, this episode, these conversations that I have with you is really designed to do, is to put you in the seat of being in control and being resourceful, to sit there and say, hey, you know what? If somebody came to me and offered me my favorite dream car in 30 days, if I did X, would I do X? Right? If I walked up to you and said, what's your favorite car? And you said a Lamborghini Countach or a Porsche 911. Okay. In 30 days, if you do X, whatever it is, raise money, lose weight, blah, 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 then I'll give you this car, no taxes or anything else. You would do it because there's enough leverage. There's a big enough incentive. But here's the thing. When you look at how you're operating within yourself, if you're feeling a 6 or a 5 or a 4, like Chris, I'm just down and I'm tired of it. Okay. Who do you love the most? Immediately people could tell me my son, my daughter, my friends, my mother, my dog, whatever it might be. And I'm like, okay, what are you giving them? Like with your stress and everything else, what are you really giving them? Are you giving them the best of you? Or are you giving the best of you to the customers and the people at work, and you're all stressed out because you've had to be nice to those people, but then you come home and then you complain for 2 hours of how terrible your life is at work. They don't get the best of you. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to be around that anymore. And then it kind of creates that whole cycle of insanity, that frustration loop. Again, like I talked about it before, I talked about a loop. It is a loop. And this is the point we're talking about here is the boundaries. And I've done whole shows on tolerations. Like you take a look at what you're tolerating from yourself, other people, and inanimate objects. You look at what you're tolerating and you find out, hey man, if I just cut out a couple of those things, how much more time, how much more energy, how much love, how much more resources, how much better would my sleep, my health improve? What decisions would I start to make a little bit differently? Right? People make poor health decisions or choice, put what they put in their body because they're looking for that. Oh, that momentary, I had the cheesecake. Oh, that felt good. Oh, I had the soda. I had whatever it is. Right. And then all of a sudden you're feeling better and you're like, I don't need to go to that. Then you sleep a little better. You feel a little bit better. Every little bit builds upon itself in the positive way, same way it is. You keep people pleasing and taking on tolerations and not communicating your wants, your needs, your desires. And then you sit there and hope, wish, and pray that someday something changes. And usually it's something that's out of your control that will cause you to go into a situation where it's panic, unrest, or you have to make the decisions and do the things that you've been talking about, but you've been afraid to do, but now you have to do them. So ask yourself, why are you afraid? What's going on? And when you think about your relationships, what are some common stress multipliers? I've said it before, but I'm going to say it here bold and blankly, unspoken expectations. I said it before. They should know. I had my wife say that to me. You should know. I'm like, how should I really know? Well, you're so smart and you're so this and you're so that. I'm like, have you ever explicitly stated to me that this information right here? Well, yeah, I've kind of said it here and there. I've kind of said, no, you haven't said it like explicitly. Hey, I need to have a conversation with you. I want to make sure you get it. And then you have that conversation when you're in a good place, right? You don't have those conversations when you're all pissed off. What's another stress multiplier? Conflict avoidance. You know what that leads to, boys and girls? Resentment. I've experienced that in my relationships. I'm honest. Resentment, because they hold in that bitterness. Oh, they just see and like, oh, I just make an assumption. Then you don't communicate your frustrations, your expectations. You go to your short-term gratifications. You guys are both doing that. And you wonder why your relationships are shit. You wonder why work relationships and all those different things are shit, because it's leading to that resentment. And you may not be honest with yourself about the resentment you have towards other people. God, I resent my friend. You like when somebody gets good news, are you happy for them? Or are you like, God damn, why didn't it happen to me? Like, where's the resentment coming from? We've done episodes also on the whole comparison aspect. You compare yourself to somebody else, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. You have no idea. You sit there and see a picture on Instagram, you're like, oh, their life is so great. Their life is so great. I will tell you this, 100% fact. I have been in situations where people have tried for 10 minutes to look their happiest when they haven't been happy. And then right after the picture's taken, they go, we're all loving and everything. And they go, and they go back to what it was they were doing. But people compare their lives to what's going on in a soundbite. Don't. So here's something that you could do. You could trade your mind reading, like I'm a mind reader, for just fucking truth. You could tell yourself, you know what? I'm unhappy. I'm upset. I'm frustrated. I feel ignored. My wife does this. She'll take a while, but then she'll say, hey, I'm not feeling the attention. We'll talk about our 5 love languages, which, by the way, if you've never read that book with your partner, buy 2 copies and give it to your partner and read it. And then when you get to the end, or talk about it as you're going, but get to the end and say, okay, I believe your love language is this. There's only 5. Oh, I think your love language is this. You're wrong. Oh, you're right. Okay, let's talk about that. So moving forward, if my love language is words of affirmation, then I, Christopher, need to make sure maybe I've got a sticky note, words of affirmation. You know, what have I said to my wife? What have I done for my wife this week that will make her feel special? If I died tomorrow, is there something recently that she could look back on and go, wow, my husband was loving and supportive and cared about me, right? What can you do? And so when you think about this, it's all about the desire for winning. Like, I want to win, I want to accomplish, da, 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 da. But I said this on a TikTok, I think yesterday, and it's this commonality that I talk about, these phrases that are super easy to remember. Do I want to be happy or do I want to be right? Do I want to be happy or right? And we're taught when we're right, we're good, right? When you're kids, oh, you got to get right. You got the spelling test right. You got good grades. You're right. But when you're wrong, you're really fucking wrong. And so what do? We only do things that we think we could do correctly. But repair your relationships. Repair your relationship with yourself. Have that trust and that respect with yourself. And I bring up the word respect because lots of times people love themselves, or may they not, but they don't love themselves. They don't like themselves. But yet we have that expectation that we're going to have strong relationships. Yet we have that expectation that people are going to think fondly of us. But when that's not in yourself, that creates that turmoil, creates that chaos. Again, then we live like a badge of honor. Oh, I'm this person, but you're really not. You're just covering up for who you are, because inside you're still a hurt little kid. Think about that. When I meet people, especially my coaching clients and whatnot, I will look at them. If I'm trying to understand them, I'll look at them like, how were they on the playground? Which kid were they on the playground? And if I don't know, I'll ask them, like, what was life like on the playground? Which kid were you? Were you the kid that never got picked for sports? Let's talk about that, right? I know I wanted to fit in so badly because I didn't fit in at home. I didn't fit in really on my street. I had some friends on my street, but I also got bullied on my street. But I wanted to fit in so bad. And what did I do one time when they were picking for a baseball team? They said, what position do you play? And I say, I play batter. I was young. And they're like, well, everybody bats. What position do you play? And I really didn't know enough about sports. And I embarrassed the shit out of myself. Hey, batter, every time on the playground. So I started watching baseball and started studying it and got better at it. But guess what? I never got picked again. I never got asked. And that had domino effects throughout my life. Those experiences, that was a part of my identity. My being bullied by kids at school and being on the kids on the street. Again, not fitting in, abuse at home, not fitting in, not being acceptable, not being good enough. And that's the stories I started telling myself. And then I went through all these different experiences in life to get to the point where I'm at today, to saying, hey, snap yourself out of it. Wherever you're at, snap yourself out of it. So here's some questions to ask yourself. Because again, the honesty, ladies and gentlemen, the honesty is what's going to set you free. Chris, that sucks. It sounds terrible. It sounds painful. Yes. But guess what? Anything worth doing in life is worth being a hero, being a stud for yourself and then for other people. Like, who can I inspire by taking this vulnerable action? What connections can I create by telling people more about my feelings and my desires and my frustrations and my fears, right? So questions, what do I keep tolerating because I'm afraid of the conversation? I imagine you're listening to the show, you're a person of growth, you're a person of integrity. Again, honesty. Like, what's one conversation you could have Who's that person? And should that conversation go to your benefit? Maybe you misunderstood something. Maybe you made an assumption and you find out that's not true, or you get the opportunity to repair that today. Like, just imagine you're done listening to the podcast and you say, fuck, I'm going to call Jennifer. And I'm going to talk to Jennifer because I've been resentful of Jennifer. I haven't called Jennifer in a while and I'm pissed off. And Jennifer may be going, Sally hasn't called me. And and then you have this assumption. All of a sudden you get back together 5 years later, like, I don't even know what we were arguing about. And I've seen guys, I don't know what the fuck why we're not friends anymore. And then they call them up like, bro, I thought it was this. I thought it was your sister. Oh, I don't know. Okay. And then they wasted 25 years. I've seen brothers do that. I know stories about that. Here's another question. Where am I teaching people how to treat me by what I allow? We could do a whole show on this, right? Where am I teaching people how to treat me by what I allow? Oh, they just do it. They just do it. They just do it. They just do it. I've helped a lot of people speak up. And oftentimes the people in their life thought they wanted to do it. Oh, I thought you wanted to do the laundry. I thought you wanted it done a certain way. I didn't know you wanted help. You never asked us for help. You made sarcastic jabs, but you never asked directly, hey guys, I need some help. Right? And I've done this with people. Can you go back to your family and ask them for help with the laundry? Is it realistic that your 8-year-old can help you a little bit with the laundry? Can they bring it downstairs? Can they help you fold it? Right? Spending time with each other. Can you give them a little benefit? Like, hey, if you help me fold this laundry, you'll get an extra 15 minutes on your device. Or, hey, if you help me fold this laundry and you put it away and you do a great job and you do as I asked, we're going to go grab an ice cream from McDonald's. Like, can you do that? Can you start building that responsibility muscle within the people in your family? Can you ask your friends, hey, I need some support with this. I just messaged my friend today. I sent him a little video of something and I said, I really need your support. Can you put out a prayer? Can you put out something for me on this? So think about that. And in terms of that, also really consider, what does a clean request sound like? Like, imagine in your brain, like, have the conversation in your brain, because your brain doesn't know real reality from perceived reality. And I'll explain that. Like, you've woken up from a bad dream, right? I just had a bad dream the other night. I don't remember it, but I know I woke up and I felt really sad. And then I later realized, I think my son was older and he was hanging around with the wrong crowd. I think that's what kind of started flashing back to me. Right? So you've had a bad dream. You wake up and you feel like, oh my God, that just happened. But there you are in your bed. You haven't moved. You haven't done anything, but the brain has played a movie in your head that your body has physiologically reacted to. Like, you wake up and, oh, I was just falling. I was on a medication for a long time ago for my ADHD, but they gave me antidepressant medicine and it fucked with my dreams horribly. Like, normally I don't dream good or bad. I get REM sleep, but I don't remember it, which is good. But for that period of 6 weeks, I had night terrors, and apparently I had night terrors when I was a kid, and I would wake up. I didn't want to go to sleep anymore. I was afraid to go to sleep. And it only was supposed to happen for 2 to 6 weeks. Happened for a while, but I was fascinated by that. And so I thought, okay, if we can do this to create negative and fearful situations, can I write movies in my head of things going really, really good and seeing me successful on the other side and seeing that person being calm? Or seeing me getting heated in the moment and saying, hey, you know what? This isn't a good time. Can I come back to you later? This really is important to me and I don't want to blow things, right? See yourself in those moments. See yourself as it going in the affirmative. But so oftentimes we play out that it's going to go negatively because that's how we're kind of wired. I was just doing that today with something. I got something big going on that I just had to put in the mail, and it's going to probably take a month or two for me to find out what's going to be the outcome on that. And the outcome on what I put in the mail today is pretty big, right? And I'm just going to leave it at that. So I said a little prayer. I put a little video out there. And I also told myself, you know what? Again, going back to taking our own advice, and our own advice, it's a fucking huge pill to swallow, but we swallow it. I said, whatever happens, happens. I put it in the mailbox. It's out of my hands. So I can worry about it for the next 2 months. I can let it infiltrate my relationships. I can let it put me in a bad mood. The what ifs and, oh my God, I should have done this. And what about that? It's gone. So whatever comes back, throw the pebble in the pond, whatever ripple comes back, guess what? If it's positive, awesome. And if it's not, then guess what? That might be the opportunity for me to do something different that creates a completely different outcome in the situation that I'm working on. You just don't know, because when you really consider this, everything that's happening in your life right now, or everything that's happened in your life, right? I don't know how many years you've been here, but everything that's happened in your life and everything that's happening in your life is preparing you for what's next. And so I had to let go of it. Spiritual person, not a religious person, but I had to let go, let God, right? It is what it is. 5 words. Well, however it comes back, I'm strong, I'm smart, I'm resilient, and I will figure it out. Because I won't let this one experience or this one situation define who I am as a person. I'm going to let my son see somebody like, okay, wow, dad got some bad news and things are changing and now he's going to do this. But it's from a point of strength. It's from a point of confidence, right? So when you think about that, when you think about your work and your career, right? You're always on, you're always available. You don't do any micro recovery. You just fucking burn, go, badge of honor, but you're going to stop. Right? So many different things we do. So when you think about questions, you can ask yourself, like, what is my biggest unnecessary habit at work? Email checking, saying yes, perfection. Like what's the stress habit that I'm doing? Like for me, if I went out of my office, I know that I would get stopped by 6 people as I was going throughout the building. I knew I had to plan for an hour when I would go out, and I would just get not instead like, oh, I got to cut you off. I had to go like, just make it a point. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Well, otherwise I would not go out into the building. If I still needed to get stuff done, I said, you know what? Me just going and walking around for a second. I know it's going to be a time waster because I'm talkative and other people are talkative. And then I'm going to come back and then I'm going to have to stay 2 hours later or take the work home with me. So I said, you know what? Stress habit at work is going out and talking to people. So then I started calling it my rounds. I would do my rounds in the morning and I would go around and say hi to everybody on my team. Hey, how was your weekend? Spend the time, listen attentively, go back into my office and sit there and focus on the work for the next couple of hours or whatever it might be. 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it might be. So I got better at handling my interruptions. Hey, Chris, can I talk to you for a second? Nope. No is a complete sentence. No is an opportunity for you. So ask yourself, like, how many times have I said no recently? Well, I said yes to that. How many things have you said yes to recently that you did not really want to do? Again, honesty. My wife and I were just talking about that today. Honesty. You need to think about that. Okay. So section number 3, where were we going? The reset lab. Let's talk about that. So how can you reset? There's a thing called the 5 to 8 minute nervous system reset. So most of the time I tell people to take a deep breath, or I tell them to take a deep breath. Here's something you can do. Deep breath for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. And then inhale. And do that 4 times. Be careful. You might get a little lightheaded, but you also might calm down. And then ask yourself, in those moments, you might be stressed out. You might be in traffic or whatever. Is this going to really matter in 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 years, 5 weeks? I used to do it 3 weeks, whatever it might be. Is this going to really matter in 3 days, 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, whatever it might be? No. Okay, I let it go. Right? So what can you do? What can you do? Another thing you do is you could take micro breaks, right? So oftentimes we're thinking, oh, big breaks, but can you just take, like I would take a 10-minute break and go out and walk in the sunshine every single day. Well, most every single day. Just go out for 10 minutes and walk around the block at my work, get some sun, get some vitamin D, reset myself for the rest of the afternoon. So if I had a challenging morning, all right, just because I had a challenging morning doesn't mean I'm going to have a challenging afternoon. What am I looking forward to this afternoon? Because again, where focus goes, energy flows. So if you're focusing on all the things that could go wrong, oop, there's another one. There's another one. I told you that one was going to happen. And we start keeping score like it's a badge of honor. Do you know how much shitty shit happened to me today at work? And then we complain and complain and complain. So I told my wife one time years and years ago, I said, we get 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it might be. You tell me about your day. I'll tell you about my day, but then we're going to really, truly live life. And in case you haven't heard it before, there was like this thing called a problem tree. When you get home from work, you got a tree outside your front door. Hang all your problems on the tree, right? Fucking family doesn't care. They're excited to see you. They haven't seen you all day. So you put those problems on the tree and then you go through the door and you intentionally say, you know what? They're expecting dad. They're expecting husband. They're expecting partner. They're expecting brother. They're expecting son, whoever it might be. Who are they expecting? They're not expecting the cranky motherfucker to come home from work and bitch about and validate again why shit is so bad. If that's you, stop it. Because guess what? You get one life. We get one life. We get an opportunity to live this life and to make these decisions and to make these choices for ourselves to become better, not bitter. So if you're watching the news constantly, if you're constantly like sending messages and people, look how fucked up this is, think about it. Where energy flows, or where focus goes, energy flows. Right. And I have to stop doing that. So I'll ask my wife, because she's a news junkie now, I'll say, hey, in 5 minutes or less, tell me what's going on in the world. Well, this is going on with Epstein. This is going on with Iran. This is going on. Okay. If I have any questions, I'll ask them. And if not, okay, I know what's going on. And generally, I already know what's going on anyway, even though I don't watch the news or follow politics anymore. So, okay. So here are some fast ways, quick ways, easy ways that you can get micro breaks. So the one song reset. Music is everything. Obviously, you can tell if you're watching the podcast, I look like a music guy. I've got music guitars hanging behind me. I have a playlist. I have a playlist called Stress. I have a playlist called Wake Up. I have a playlist called Workout. I have a playlist called Morning Songs. I'll put music on and I'll sing. If I'm going to a stressful situation, like sometimes I'd be going to work like, oh my God. And I put on that morning playlist and I would sing ABBA and I would sing Do or whatever it might be. Guess what? Your physiology changes. You can't be mad when you're singing. So you're singing, feel good. Send yourself a future text. Like, can I send myself a future text later on today and say how proud of myself I am? Like when you think about how do I want this day to end? How do I want to feel when I go to bed? I've done shows on this before. Like how do you wake up and how you go to sleep are massive bookends to how you construct and deconstruct your day. So if you're looking for opportunities throughout the day to go to bed and think, man, I'm proud of myself. I'm so proud I took that chance. I'm so proud I asked that question. I'm so proud I had that conversation. And you start stringing together more things to be proud of. Guess what? Your life becomes kick-ass, and it doesn't become easy or predictable or anything else like that. But you start to understand and have the confidence and the faith and believe, like my wristband says, you start to believe, hey, this is preparing me for what's next. Hey, this is a shitty situation, but fucking hell, it's making me a stronger person. And I know this, and I see so many people, like, again, my life has been going along great, and then I got this information, and now I have to deal and process with it. It is what it is. I'm a strong person, so God's source universe is saying, okay, let's see how you're going to handle this. Let's see. What are you made of? How are you going to do it? Because either way, the situation is going to happen and it's going to unfold, and it's up to me to respond or react. And I can respond to the situation and say, okay, what's next? What are some positive things that I can do in this moment for me to move forward? Even though I'm upset at the news and I'm frustrated at the news and there's really not a whole lot I can do about it, I can just continue to move forward and say, okay, what's next? Right? So you think about that. 5-minute floor time. Lie flat on the floor. Don't do anything. And just stop and think and just relax. You know, sometimes I'll do that. I'll lay in the bed here at the house. I'll lay in the bed and I'll sit there and imagine, and I'll do a body check-in, and I'll see, where am I holding stress in my body? Like, is my neck really super stressed? So I'll figure out a way to contract it or make it more stressed, or to like do that and then release it. Hold it and then release it. And do that with a couple of breaths and sit there and imagine yourself releasing. I'm going to release this problem. I'm going to release my hold, my desire to own this situation and identify myself by it, because I'm not going to do that anymore. Right? And there's so many other things you could do, because there's Google, there's YouTube, there's ChatGPT, there's all sorts of news and opportunity and information right in your cell phone. So instead of scrolling and wasting and doom scrolling and doing all that stuff that does nothing for you, be intentional and say, you know what? What are 2-minute exercises that I could do to minimize my stress? Right? And start being intentional about that. Start being intentional, because listen, guys, this is the way life is. And what I want to say is that I just gave you a whole lot of insight, tools, and truth. But here's the deal. Information doesn't change your life. Information does not change your life. Action does. So I'm going to give you one simple challenge. Pick one thing you've heard today, not 10, not 5, just one. One boundary, one reset ritual, one question, one honest conversation, one 5-minute nervous system break, whatever it might be, and commit to it. Commit to it for the next 7 days. No excuses. No fucking all try. Try is such bullshit. No, you're either going to do it or you're not. Like, you owe it to yourself to make that promise, make that commitment to yourself to say, no, I'm going to do it. Whether I like it or not, and you're never going to feel like it. You're never gonna, I don't feel like going to, you don't. But maybe if you do things enough times, then you're like, when you don't do it, you miss it. So I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if I don't feel like going to the gym, if I give myself any excuse, oh, I'm doing this, I go to the gym. When I walk out, I'm glad I did that every single time. It's never been a waste of time or anything else. So no excuses. No, I'll try. You just do it, like Nike says, because your peace is not a luxury. It's a requirement. And the moment you stop treating stress like your identity is the moment that your life starts to feel like yours again. So let me tell you this. I'm proud of you guys for showing up, for listening, for sharing this episode out, for being kick-ass. Again, make sure you go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Christopher Rausch. You can go to YouTube and type in Christopher Rausch. You can type in No Excuses Coach. You can type in Raw Unscripted and you'll find the podcast. You'll find there. Go in there and then hit the subscribe button, then hit the alert bell and hit notifications all. And then next week when the show shows up, if you have time to watch it or you can join us live, do it. And then just please support the video, put some comments in there, like it, share it. Let me reach more people. Let me have this message reach more people so that we can live and create this world in a beautiful place for our kids and our kids' kids. Okay. So I will be back here next week. Go to rawandunscripted.com. I love you guys. Let me know what works for you, what doesn't. And for this, you stay kick-ass unstoppable, my friends. I love you guys.